Right now at 5, MSSU makes a big announcement involving a donation of $1 million.
We've still got a wind advisory for a good chunk of the area through noon today. We'll talk about those winds and how mild it's going to get coming up.
Berg High School student fulfills her dream of going to art school.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's good to be back after a few days of just relaxing, and got a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not bad, And picked some good time to take off too, because we had a pretty pleasant weekend overall. A little bit chilly here and there, but not bad. But we still have that wind to deal with. So as we mentioned, still have a wind advisory for the counties that are highlighted in brown, and that's going to run through noon today. And that's because we could still see wind gusts pushing 40, 45 miles an hour. But the good news is the winds will eventually let up as we head into this evening. Right now, though, very mild start for us for January. 60 degrees in Joplin, south breeze at 25, gusting upwards of 38. And it is mild across the region. We're up to 57 in Iola, 60 Chanute, Parsons, Neodesha, 63 Miami, and 60 in Neosho, Carthage, and Lamar as we start the day. MoDOT camera at I-44 and Rangeline looking good. We've got the yellow light up there simply because we're going to continue to see it be very gusty through the morning, otherwise quite mild and cloudy. And we're setting up the green light for this afternoon, but we'll still see some breezy conditions. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies and still remaining quite mild. Kids don't need much to get on the bus other than maybe some bricks in their backpack to hold them down as we'll see those gusty winds. 57 at 7 a.m. And when that bus brings them back home, we're up to 61 by 3 o'clock. We'll start to see a little more sunshine later today. So first portion of our day, mostly cloudy to just plain old cloudy. Then we'll start to see some partly cloudy skies later, up to 62 for the high. And then as we head into this evening, dropping back down to 43 for our overnight lows. So again, that's roughly what our average high should be. So we're remaining well above average. As we look to the week ahead, we're watching some thunderstorm chances potentially as we head into Wednesday. And then as we cool off, there's the possibility we could start to see maybe even a wintry mix on Thursday. It's a low-end chance, but winter might try and make a return as we head toward the end of the week and into the weekend. So enjoy the mild weather while we've got it, because we do have some changes on the way in that forecast out there. So, but until then, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, still not bad in terms of temperatures.
All right. I see that snow coming up.
And it's a possibility, something we're watching. We're still a little ways out, but we've said it all last week. We're still in winter. We're still in January. We are just really getting spoiled here the last several days.
We have been. That's right. And I don't mind it at all.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, lawmakers in Missouri voted on a stricter dress code, at least for women. The state house approved a new rule that requires women to cover their shoulders, and they can do so with a jacket, knit blazer, or cardigan. Cardigan option was only added after one opponent pointed out blazers can be difficult for pregnant women to wear. The rule was actually proposed by a woman Republican, Ann Kelly. She says it makes things more equal since men have long been required to cover their shoulders with a shirt and jacket. Lawmakers and reporters in the U.S. House were required to cover their arms with sleeves until 2017. A suspect now faces murder charges in connection with the disappearance of a 4-year-old Oklahoma girl. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations says Ivan Adams, who was arrested in Arizona, is awaiting extradition to Oklahoma, where he faces a murder charge. He was a caretaker of the child who disappeared earlier this week. Another caretaker, Alyssa Adams, was also arrested on Thursday and is charged with child neglect. The missing child is 4-year-old Athena Brownfield. There's no word on whether a body has been found. Athena's 5-year-old sister had also been in the care of the Adams. She is now in protective custody. Well, a big announcement at Missouri Southern on Friday, a donation of a whole lot of zeros. Bill and Tracy Gibson are given $1 million for the school's Lions Forward campaign. Lions Forward is a capital fundraising campaign aimed at improving the university experience through things like student scholarships, campus renovations, and new equipment.
We certainly are hopeful that there will be additional very significant gifts, leadership gifts to the campaign. Really the success of the campaign, we want everyone to be part of it, but those leadership gifts are really important and transformational.
The Lions Forward campaign was started last June. Well, a Pittsburgh high school senior accomplished a big feat. Mackenzie Rowe is the first ever from the high school to get into the School of Art Institute of Chicago. Now Mackenzie is on her way to fulfilling a dream, and she shares some of her inspiration from her artwork.
Conveyed a sterile environment, like thinking of things like a mental hospital and how degrading it can be to be in one of those environments, because a lot of people have spoken on their experiences in mental hospitals and said that they just kind of stopped treating you like human.
The scholarship awarded to Mackenzie is worth $76,000. Mackenzie isn't the only very talented artist at Pittsburgh High. 3 students at the school swept the top 3 places in the high school division of the Kansas Youth Art Month flag competition. First place goes to Emma McCormick. Hannah Sanford takes second place, and Audrey Hertrick got third. Theme for the flag competition was Your Art, Your Voice. The objective is for students to design a colorful flag that incorporates the theme and also represents the state of Kansas. Well, some Kansans are seeing an unusual animal moving into the state, and we've got the latest from Wichita.
Many are starting to see feral hogs roaming around parts of Kansas. A Garden Plain police officer posted to their Facebook after the department got reports of people seeing the hogs. The officer then found some himself just south of the town. The department says a USDA wildlife agent was immediately notified. Then Saturday, someone sent 12 News even more pictures of what they say were feral hogs near Lake Afton. Farmers in the area north of Garden Plain say they've dealt with feral hogs on their property already, and they hope it doesn't become a major problem.
Keep your eyes out. We hope they don't come in the area, but they're to the south and we've heard them moving up. The individual I got a hold of was with USDA. We got a hold of him and we're able to put him on the trail, I guess.
Jeff says the feral hogs caused damage to his soybean field, where he believes the hogs trampled through the crops. He says when this happened, the USDA established a neighborhood watch, and if any feral hogs were spotted, the goal was to trap them. Jeff also says the state of Kansas has a zero-tolerance policy against feral hogs because of how much damage they can cause.
What Kansas doesn't want is any feral hogs. Hog populations can increase.
And they can increase quickly. The American Farm Bureau Federation says feral hogs have caused more than $2.5 billion in damages to agriculture, livestock, and the environment.
Feral hogs can be very, very damaging to cropland, to rangeland, to private property. They like to root and dig and play in the mud and dig for bugs. They can really hurt crops and your personal property pretty quickly.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, did you miss anything sports related over the weekend? Well, our sports director Jacob Leonard has all the recaps from the weekend games that you don't want to miss. Plus, with the rise of the internet comes internet sleuths. However, it's causing a big issue, the spread of misinformation. And a new study reveals why many people love chocolate. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, the Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern basketball teams were both in action at home on Saturday. Pitt State split with Washburn, while Missouri Southern split with Emporia State. Sports director Jacob Leonard has a recap of local college action.
The Pittsburgh State women got off to a bit of a slow start Saturday against Washburn, trailing by 4 at halftime.
Their defense is super tough. I mean, I really believe they're one of the toughest defensive teams in the league.
They're long, they're quick, they ice us. I mean, that was hard to play against.
The Gorillas turned it on in the second half. Pitt State outscored Washburn 28-12 in the fourth quarter. A run kick-started by fifth-year players Aaron Davis and Tristan Gegg.
When we came to the fourth quarter, we started slowing down, really taking time to look at the defense, seeing what they're giving us, and making sure we have the right team shot.
I just feel like we got some emotion going, got a little confidence, and that can do a lot for you. And it's contagious. I think we got a pretty good group that feeds off of each other. And so that was the biggest difference, I think, was just get that little lift from Aaron and T.
Corinna Gerber posted 16 points and 9 rebounds for Pittsburgh State, while Grace Pyle had a double-double with 15 points and 11 rebounds. In the men's game at Pittsburgh State, Marquis English got off to a hot start and led Pitt State with 15 points. But the Ichabods made 14 threes on the day, and shot 53% from the field, beating the Gorillas 93-63. In Joplin, the Missouri Southern women started fast against Emporia State, outscoring the Hornets 27-10 in the first quarter.
It was a big momentum. We really needed that, and seeing everyone hit shots and everything going in, it was a big plus for our team to just give us more momentum to keep going.
Southern cruised by the Hornets 86-69 with 4 players in double figures. Caitlin Honeycutt made 4 threes in the game and finished with a season-high 20 points.
I saw a couple shots go in early, so it gave me some confidence. I've been struggling throughout most of the season, but my teammates have had confidence in me throughout the whole time. They always tell me shoot the ball, shoot with confidence.
She's such a good shooter, and we all know that the staff and all her teammates know how good of a shooter she is. It was just great to see her finally knock down some shots and shoot with confidence. And you could tell after she made her first couple, she wasn't worried about it. She wasn't hoping it was going in. She knew it was going in.
On the men's side for Southern, the Lions saw their 7-game winning streak come to an end, falling in overtime to Emporia State 83-79. Vincent Sigmund Jr. led the way with 21 points for the Lions. Missouri Southern will be on the road next week for a pair of games against Northeastern State and Rogers State.
Well, still to come, the man who assassinated former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been indicted by prosecutors. Plus, we got another check of that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Well, we've still got wind advisories for the counties highlighted in brown. That runs until noon today because we'll still see wind gusts pushing upwards of 40, 45 miles an hour. In fact, in Joplin, we're very mild, 60 degrees, south breeze at 25, gusting to 38, so still quite breezy. But as you can see, this strong southerly wind is keeping us mild across the region. We've got 57 Iola, lots of 60s out there. Pittsburgh, Parsons, Chanute, Neodesha, Fort Scott, Lamar, Carthage, Neosho, and Anderson. And we're up to 63 in Miami right now. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line looks pretty good. We do have a yellow light for your morning drive just with these excessive gusts out there. We're otherwise cloudy and mild. We do switch to a green light for your drive home as winds should eventually start calming down a bit later this evening. Will be partly cloudy and again still mild. Now kids getting on the bus, we really don't need much other than maybe some extra weights to hold them down. We're 57 mostly cloudy at 7 a.m. We're going to be up to 61 by the time they get home at 3 o'clock and partly cloudy. We'll be cloudy for the first half of the day and start to turn to partly cloudy skies this afternoon, heading for a high of 62 degrees. And as we drop into tonight, we're going to cool back down to 43. We'll have partly cloudy skies and considerably calmer winds for us. As we take a look at the week ahead, all right, we're mostly cloudy tomorrow. We've got the morning showers. They're on their way out of here. We're otherwise just breezy. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, up to 60, 53 Wednesday, maybe some scattered showers and thunderstorms. We drop to 50, and then that temperature will continue to fall down to 43, so we may see a little bit of a wintry mix on Thursday, down to 25. We're in the 40s Friday and Saturday, and then maybe even some light snow chances as we head into Sunday, the high of 39. And as we look beyond that, we try and warm back up, but as you can see, there's a few more wintry precipitation marks on there as Mother Nature gets ready to remind us it is still January and it is still winter here in the 4 states. Well, would-be internet sleuths are filling social media with theories and misinformation surrounding the University of Idaho student killings. CNN's Gary Tuchman reports.
Police and prosecutors are being required to stay quiet outside the courtroom about the University of Idaho murder case. But on the internet, there is no such prohibition.
We have uncovered what we believe are some old writings of Bryan Kohberger.
And most of it, on TikTok, Facebook, and other places, is speculation and hypothesizing.
The evening following the murders, Kohberger's phone was pinged in Johnson, Idaho, which is 3 hours away from Moscow and conveniently next to a national forest.
How prevalent is internet sleuthing? Consider this. This Facebook group, University of Idaho Murders Case Discussion, has more than 225,000 followers. And this is just one of many groups discussing and hypothesizing about this case online. Prior to the arrest of Bryan Kohberger, a user who goes by Papa Roger was a prolific contributor on the site, with many creepy and insensitive posts, and what turned out to be incorrect speculation, such as, the white Elantra is a red herring. But he also declared, of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent as a fixed-blade knife. This leads me to believe they found the sheath. The fact that he got the detail correct about the sheath, despite getting so much else wrong, is one of several reasons many on social media think Papa Roger was Kohberger. This person saying, I really think Papa Roger was BK, Kohberger's initials. And this person, okay, this Papa Roger stuff is wild. How would anyone besides him know some of this? Very unsettling. There is no indication Facebook or the police believe Papa Roger, who is no longer in the group, is Kohberger. Then there is this video taken at an Idaho prayer vigil for the 4 murder victims prior to Kohberger's arrest, with many people hypothesizing online.
People think that the Idaho murderer attended his victim's vigil.
This person commenting, Brian Kohberger, spotted, prayer vigil, Moscow, Idaho. And this person, sure looks like the psycho, but a TV crew from the news magazine Inside Edition was at the vigil and has videotape of the man close up. It's definitely not Kohberger. We are not showing his face to protect his identity. And then there is this.
A lot of people have been asking, who is Rebecca Schofield?
A woman who calls herself Ashley Solves Mysteries has posted scores of videos on TikTok accusing a University of Idaho professor of participating in the killings. Never mind that police said the professor was never a suspect. The TikToker, whose real name is Ashley Gillard, posted this video about 2 weeks before Kohberger's arrest.
We need to dig deeper into her personality so we can understand her beliefs and who she is, so that we can further understand her motives for the murders.
We reached out to Gillard. She did not respond, but Professor Rebecca Schofield has responded. Her attorney filing a defamation lawsuit against Gillard. The lawyer Wendy Olson saying, the statements made about Professor Schofield are false, plain and simple. What's even worse is that these untrue statements create safety issues for the professor and her family. They also further compound the trauma that the families of the victims are experiencing. Professor Schofield twice sent cease and desist letters to Ms. Gillard, but Ms. Gillard has continued to make false statements, knowing they are false. Thus, this lawsuit became necessary to protect Professor Schofield's safety and her reputation.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Does social media help fuel misinformation? Yes or no? You can vote through our website at koamnewsnow.com/vote. You can also vote in the KOAM News Now app and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We're going to be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, researchers say banning menthol-flavored cigarettes does not lead to an increase in illicit smoke sales, despite claims from the tobacco industry. A survey of smokers in Canada after a menthol cigarette ban showed there was no increase in sales for the First Nations Reserve, the top illicit cigarette source in the country. Researchers say the ban is another example of effective policies to decrease smoking and do not turn smokers toward illegal sources. We all know that exercising is good for the body and overall mental health, but did you know it could help delay neurodegenerative disorders? A new study reveals doing just minutes of a high-intensity workout could help fend off diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. The research, published last Wednesday in the Journal of Physiology, studied a dozen men and women between the ages of 18 and 56 years old and found short bursts of exercise increases the production of a protein vital for brain formation. That protein is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, and it can help extend the lifespan of a healthy brain. A new study reveals why many people may love chocolate. Researchers in the United Kingdom say the sweet treat may be appealing because of how it makes the mouth water. Scientists say chocolate releases a fatty film that lubricates the tongue. They also say people can enjoy chocolate because of other ingredients in the sweet or how it impacts our saliva when it enters our mouths. The CDC says there could be a safety issue with Pfizer's updated bivalent COVID-19 vaccine. Friday's announcement reveals a possible increase in a certain type of stroke in people 65 and older who recently received one of the updated boosters. This potential risk was detected using a monitoring system called the Vaccine Safety Data Link. Analysis shows seniors might be more likely to have these kinds of strokes within the first 3 weeks after the shot compared with weeks 4 through 6. But the CDC says when looking at all the data from other large collections of medical records, it's very unlikely that the signal received from the Vaccine Safety Data Link is a true clinical risk. It also continues to recommend people stay up to date with their COVID vaccinations. Well, here's some info that could power you through dry January. That nightly glass or two of wine is not good for your health. According to research from JAMA Network, there were around 140,000 deaths in the U.S. per year from 2015 to 2019 resulting from alcohol use. About 40% of those deaths were from car accidents, alcohol poisoning, and homicides. But most were caused by chronic conditions attributed to alcohol like liver disease, cancer, and heart disease. Experts say even moderate use of alcohol can result in health issues. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Well, it certainly looks okay out there. We've got pretty decent conditions aside from that wind still gusting 40 to 45 miles an hour today. Even looking at 7th and Rangeline, if you watch closely enough, you'll see our tower camera shaking in that breeze. We've got wind advisories and we've also got some rain on the way. We're going to break down your full forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, MSSU makes a big announcement involving a donation of $1 million.
And we've got a forecast filled with wind, thankfully not million-mile-an-hour wind, but it's still going to be gusty through today. We'll talk about that and how mild it's going to get coming up.
And a Pittsburgh high school student fulfills her dream of going to art school.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's still quite breezy out there, but another very mild start for us. I mean, we're still well above average for this time of year, but those days appear to be numbered in terms of being above average. We still have that wind advisory for the counties highlighted in brown through noon, and we could still see wind gusts pushing 40 to 45 miles an hour through today. We're at 60 in Joplin, south breeze at 25, gusting to 38, so very breezy out there. But that very breezy southerly wind bringing in warm temperatures, 58 Yates Center, 61 Chanute Parsons, 63 Chatopa Miami, 60 in Neosho, Carthage, Lamar, and Nevada as we start the day. MoDOT camera I-44 and Rangeline looking good. We do have a yellow light for your morning drive just because it's still going to be so gusty today. Otherwise, we're going to be pretty cloudy and mild. And we do switch to a green light for the drive home as winds should start to let up later this evening and into the overnight hours. We're going to be mild and partly cloudy. Kids getting on the bus looking pretty good aside from the wind. 57 and mostly cloudy at 7 a.m. We'll be partly cloudy by 3 o'clock and up to 61. Heading for a high today of about 62 degrees. So again, well above average for this time of year. We'll be cloudy through the first half of the day and then switch to partly cloudy skies by this afternoon and this evening. Down to 43 for our overnight low under those partly cloudy skies, so not bad whatsoever. Staying mild as we head into tomorrow, up to 60, mostly cloudy. 53 Wednesday, maybe some scattered thunderstorms out there. We'll keep an eye on for you. Down to 50, and then that temperature falls through Thursday, 43 down to 25 for the low. Maybe a wintry mix possible. We clear out but stay cool Friday and Saturday, and then we're even colder Sunday, 39. We're watching the possibility of maybe even some morning snow by then. And even though we try and rebound as we head into next week, we are still looking at the possibility of some wintry weather out there. So just that reminder that we are still January, it's still winter, and we're going to start dropping back down to normal in the next few days.
Yes, normal.
Enjoy this mild weather while we've got it.
I enjoy it, and I don't mind being above normal.
I don't think anybody does so far.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, lawmakers in Missouri voted on a stricter dress code, at least for women. The State House approved a new rule that requires women to cover their shoulders. They can do so with a jacket, a knit blazer, or a cardigan. Cardigan option was only added after one opponent pointed out blazers can be difficult for pregnant women to wear. The rule was actually proposed by a woman, Republican Ann Kelly. She says it makes things more equal since men have long been required to cover their shoulders with a shirt and jacket. Lawmakers and reporters in the U.S. House were required to cover their arms with sleeves until 2017. A suspect now faces murder charges in connection with the disappearance of a 4-year-old Oklahoma girl. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation says Ivan Adams, who was arrested in Arizona, is awaiting extradition to Oklahoma, where he faces a murder charge. He was a caretaker of the child who disappeared earlier this week. Another caretaker, Alyssa Adams, was also arrested on Thursday and is charged with child neglect. The missing child is 4-year-old Athena Brownfield. There's no word on whether a body has been found. Athena's 5-year-old sister had also been in the care of the Adams. She is now in protective custody. A big announcement at Missouri Southern on Friday, a donation of a whole lot of zeros. Bill and Tracy Gibson are giving $1 million for the school's Lions Forward campaign. Lions Forward is a capital fundraising campaign aimed at improving the university experience through things like student scholarships, campus renovations, and new equipment.
We've seen and met and got to know students and families of, the other endeavors that we've been involved in. And so when we see programs like this that the staff and the faculty are excited about, we want to be a part of that too.
The Lions Forward campaign started last June. Miners Hall Museum in Franklin, Kansas hosted its first quarterly exhibit of money and metals, doing business in the mining era. Museum officials say the exhibit explores the means of commerce such as coins, currency, and substitutes that made doing business possible during the mining era of 1860 to 1980. Participants were able to learn about the changes in the composition of coins, the common alternatives to legal tender, and the transition from the use of coins to the adoption of currency and related financial instruments.
Well, I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be here today. We have an exhibit that will run for 3 months showing coins of the era that we're talking about, the mining era, and 3 opportunities here to present seminars and programs talking about coins and currency and collectibles.
3 more special programs are planned at the Miners Hall Museum for the next few months. Well, Pittsburgh High School senior accomplished a big feat. Mackenzie Rowe is the first ever from the high school to get into the School of Art Institute of Chicago. Now Mackenzie is on her way to fulfilling a dream. She shares some of her inspiration from her artwork.
Conveyed a sterile environment, like thinking of things like a mental hospital and how degrading it can be to be in one of those environments, because a lot of people have spoken on their experiences in mental hospitals and said that they just kind of stopped treating you like human.
Scholarship awarded to Mackenzie is worth $76,000. Mackenzie isn't the only very talented artist at Pittsburgh High. 3 students at the school swept the top 3 places in the high school division of the Kansas Youth Art Month flag competition. First place goes to Emma McCormick. Hannah Sanford takes 2nd place and Audrey Hertrick gets 3rd. The theme for the flag competition was Your Art, Your Voice. The objective is for students to design a colorful flag that incorporates the theme and also represents the state of Kansas. Well, this morning we're discussing social media and misinformation.
Police and prosecutors are being required to stay quiet outside the courtroom about the University of Idaho murder case, but on the internet, there is no such prohibition, and most of it on TikTok, Facebook, and other places is speculation and hypothesizing.
Well, how prevalent is internet sleuthing? Consider this. Facebook group University of Idaho Murders Case Discussion has more than 250,000 followers. This is just one of many groups discussing and hypothesizing about this case online.
That brings us to our question. Does social media help fuel misinformation? So far, 100% of you say it does. And, in our business, we do see that sometimes where people take what they think and post it online without knowing all the details. But unfortunately, on social media, people will read that, they believe it, they begin to share it, and then before you know it, something that's not completely true or not true at all is circulating all over the place. And sometimes our job has been going back and putting the facts out there. So
that we get everything from the police directly, and we don't report it until it is validated.
Exactly. We wait, we check our sources, we check our information, we make sure that what we have is factual and truthful before we deliver it to you here on KOAM News.
That's very important. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, a man with a hobby that some might love or some might call creepy recreates Jason from Friday the 13th.
Plus, Ukrainian troops fly across the world to receive training in Oklahoma. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, a passenger plane crashes at a resort town in Nepal on Sunday. The crash happened as a twin-engine ATR-72 aircraft operated by Nepal's Yeti Airlines crashed into a gorge while attempting to land at the new Pokhara International Airport. Authorities say at least 44 people are dead and at least 68 people were on board the crash. The crash site is about a mile from the new airport. Rescuers had to use ropes to pull out some bodies from the wreckage. It's not yet known why the plane crashed. The crash is Nepal's worst since March of 2018, when a U.S. Bangla Airlines passenger plane crashed in Kathmandu, killing 49 of 71 people on board. The death toll in Dnipro, Ukraine is rising after a missile strike destroyed a 9-story apartment building on Saturday. The regional governor there says at least 29 people died in the attack. Rescuers combed through the wreckage Saturday night looking for survivors. Residents returned to collect salvaged belongings Sunday morning. Over 1,000 people lived in the apartment block, which now lies in ruins. Russia acknowledged launching missiles but did not say anything about targeting civilians in the building. Russia has denied intentionally killing civilians throughout the war. Nearly 50 vehicles collided on an icy highway near Seoul, Korea, killing one person and injuring dozens. At least 47 vehicles were involved in the accident on the Guri-Poncheon highway, where they skidded on the slippery road and collided in succession. At least 3 motorists sustained serious injuries, and another person who had been transported to a hospital in cardiac arrest was pronounced dead. At least 29 others were treated at hospitals for light injuries. The crash was the biggest among multiple traffic accidents that occurred in the country over the weekend because of icy road conditions and snow. And a drive-by shooting in central London has left 2 children and 4 women injured. The incident occurred on Saturday. Police say a 7-year-old girl remains hospitalized with life-threatening injuries, and a 12-year-old girl sustained a leg injury. Metropolitan Police says officers were called to a church in the Euston area where a private memorial service was taking place. Police believe gunmen fired shotgun pellets from a moving car outside the house of worship. And prosecutors in Japan have indicted the murder suspect behind the fatal shooting of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. According to the prosecutor's office, Tatsuya Yamagama faces charges of murder and violating the firearms control law for the shooting. The suspect has been undergoing psychiatric evaluation in the city of Nara since his arrest in July of 2022. According to Japanese public broadcaster NHK, this has been in order to determine whether he is mentally fit to stand trial. NHK also reported his detention evaluation period ended on Tuesday. Shinzo Abe died on July 8th after he was shot while giving a campaign speech on a street in central Japan. Ukrainian soldiers arrived in the United States Sunday evening to begin training on U.S. Patriots air defense systems. The plane landed in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Sunday night. The soldiers were quickly unloaded straight onto the buses and taken to base, where they will begin training. The Patriot system is America's most advanced air defense weapon. Experts say it will be crucial in Ukraine's fight against Russia. Let's look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we still have wind advisories for some of us through noon today. Gusts 40 to 45 miles an hour, but the good news is those winds will eventually die down. But right now, they are ushering in very mild temperatures across the area. 61 Joplin, Chanute, Parsons, 63 Chautauqua, Miami, and 60 Lamar and Carthage right now. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line, we're looking pretty good aside from the wind, and that's why we do have a yellow light for your morning drive. We'll be cloudy, we'll be mild, but we will still be very breezy. We're switching to a green light for your drive home as winds should start to calm down a little bit. We'll have partly cloudy skies, still quite mild. And as kids get on the bus this morning, not too bad. Again, aside from that wind, 57 at 7 a.m., mostly cloudy skies. We're up to 61 by 3 o'clock when they get home and partly cloudy. You know, it just occurred to me, I don't think any kids have school today. They don't. Okay, I've learned from Tanya, Girard has school. So for folks in Girard, and if you do happen to have school today, that's the conditions. That just dawned on me. You take a few days off and your mind's off the rails. 62 today. Clouds will start to clear out, partly cloudy by this afternoon. We will be partly cloudy this evening, back down to 43 for our overnight low. Let's take a quick look at that 7-day forecast. We're up to 60 tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Maybe some scattered thunderstorms Wednesday, 53 down to 50. Temperatures fall throughout Thursday, maybe a wintry mix. 49 Friday, 44 Saturday, and we're down to 39 by this Sunday. We could even see some morning snow chances out there. And take a look at the lows. They go from pretty pleasant to, well, normal, but downright cold over the next few days. Even into next week, not a lot of warming. We stay normal, but we have a lot more wintry precipitation chances in there as we head into the middle of next week. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A suspect now faces murder charges in connection with the disappearance of a 4-year-old Oklahoma girl. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation says Ivan Adams, who was arrested in Arizona, is awaiting extradition to Oklahoma, where he faces a murder charge. He was a caretaker of the child who disappeared earlier this week. Another caretaker, Alyssa Adams, was also arrested on Thursday and is charged with child neglect. The missing child is 4-year-old Athena Brownfield. There's no word on whether a body has been found. Athena's 5-year-old sister had also been in the care of the Adams. She is now in protective custody. Lawmakers in Missouri voted on a stricter dress code, at least for women. The state house approved a new rule that requires women to cover their shoulders. They can do so with a jacket, knit blazer, or cardigan. Cardigan option was only added after one opponent pointed out blazers can be difficult for pregnant women to wear. The rule was actually proposed by a woman Republican, Ann Kelly. She says it makes things more equal since men have long been required to cover their shoulders with a shirt and jacket. Lawmakers and reporters in the U.S. House were required to cover their arms with sleeves until 2017. A big announcement at Missouri Southern on Friday, a donation of a whole lot of zeros. Bill and Tracy Gibson are giving $1 million for the school's Lions Forward campaign. Lions Forward is a capital fundraising campaign aimed at improving the university experience through things like student scholarships, campus renovations, and new equipment. A Pittsburgh high school senior accomplished a big feat. Mackenzie Rowe is the first ever from the high school to get into the School of Art Institute of Chicago. Now Mackenzie is on her way to fulfilling a dream, and she shares some of her inspiration from her artwork. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Fans of the Friday the 13th movies and its main character, Jason Voorhees, have a unique chance to get up close and personal with the creepy guy. But you'll have to travel to Minnesota Lake to have that scary experience. Eva Anderson explains.
Just got all these flamingos. They break and they get decommissioned, so then I get them.
If you ask Doug Klein to explain the oodles of oddities in his garage, his answers might make you laugh.
Kohl's is going out of business, so I got a bunch of mannequin bodies.
This local electrician's penchant for the peculiar goes beneath the surface. Literally, by night, he's a scuba diver who takes his odd stuff underwater.
There's a shark laying by the dumpster, so the shark's in there now too.
But his magnum opus is a serial killer. Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th movie franchise. A nod to the 6th movie when the characters chained to the bottom of Crystal Lake. But here in Minnesota, for the past 10 years, Jason's lurked at Louise Mine Pit in Crosby at 112 feet deep.
I had all this stuff in my garage. I had 2x4s, I had plywood, I had foam. I just decided, hey, I'm going to build Jason.
His diving pal.
We met 13 years ago.
Is Curtis Lahr.
Yep.
Who gave him a hand in the process by giving him a head.
Found this plastic head that is used like for medical devices.
Terrifying teamwork produced a villain Doug's quite proud of.
I think the eyes turned out really good because when you're down there and you look at them, the eyes are looking at you.
Curtis put it all on YouTube, and over the past decade, it's gone viral several times. In fact, he's become a destination.
We had a guy come all the way from Washington State to dive him, didn't we?
Yep. I think there was a guy from California came just to dive him too. People just really enjoy it, and that makes me happy.
So happy he's got something or someone else in the works.
That may end up as Freddy Krueger one day.
All right, well, we just had Friday the 13th last Friday. While lots of people think this is pretty cool, others are concerned some may get hurt diving if they get scared and surface too fast. I was just thinking about that. We'll be right back. A new Princess and the Frog restaurant is coming to California's Disneyland Park later this year. Tiana's Palace, with its peach-colored walls and fancy green wrought iron balconies, will be the newest restaurant on Anaheim's Orleans Street. Quick service style eatery will feature authentic New Orleans flavors with the pizzazz and flair of the restaurant from the film. Comes after the recently opened Eudora's Chic Boutique, a new retail shop that Tiana opened with her mother, Eudora. It'll be followed by a new attraction called Tiana's Bayou Adventure, set to open in Disneyland Park in 2024.
We've still got wind advisories for some of us through noon today. Gusts pushing 40 to 45 miles an hour again, but a bit warmer too, up to 62. We're cloudy for the first half of the day, and then we're going to be partly cloudy as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Going into the overnight, the winds do eventually calm down for us, which is a good thing because we absolutely need them to stop what they're doing. Otherwise, we're down to 43, partly cloudy tonight, so not too bad. We are watching some rain chances, so we got a few stray morning showers out to our east. They're on their way out of here, and we're going to stay dry for today and into tomorrow. We'll still stay mild even heading into tomorrow. But you see cloud cover begins to increase, and that is because we've got some showers, maybe even some thunderstorms rolling in on Wednesday. We're up to 60 tomorrow, 53 on Wednesday with those scattered thunderstorm chances. Then we are down a bit, down to normal, honestly, down to 43 Thursday, maybe a morning wintry mix. And we clear out a bit for Friday and Saturday, still normal but cold compared to what we've seen. And then maybe even some snow Sunday morning and only 39 degrees by Sunday heading into this weekend. We got a lot more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, firefighters face danger every time they go out on a call, but KOAM's Shagun Bombadeli learns of another danger to firefighters, a risk for job-related cancer.
And we've got wind advisories out there for the counties in brown, still running through noon today. We're talking gusty winds, we're talking mild temperatures, we're also talking rain chances, all of that coming up.
And a veterans group teams up with the Joplin community to provide transitional housing with a tiny village.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 6 o'clock on a Monday. It's all right, get the Monday moan out. Now, some of us have the day off today. Some of us aren't in school. I've learned from Tanya. I know Gerard has class today.
And I'm sure there's a few other districts.
I'm sure, I'd say there's probably 95% of the kids are out today, and I realized that earlier this morning. But it's okay. For those that are in class, we still have that bus stop forecast for you this morning. We have wind advisories as well to talk about, still for the counties in brown. Now, even if you're not under a wind advisory, doesn't mean it's not going to be gusty today. We can still see those gusts pushing 40 to 45 miles an hour, up to 60. It is 60 right now. Winds a little calmer, south-southwest at 20, gusting to 29 right now. Across the region, that strong southerly wind bringing in warm temperatures. 57 Yates Center, 61 Parsons, Pittsburgh, 63 Miami, 61 Neosho, and 59 in Monette. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line looks pretty good. You got a yellow light for your morning drive for those extra gusty winds. They're going to be otherwise pretty cloudy and mild. We're switching to a green light for the drive home because those winds should start to calm down a bit, but that's not to say they may not still be a bit gusty out there. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies and still quite mild. For those that do have school today, we're looking at 57 by 7 a.m., mostly cloudy, but gusty winds out there. Same when they get home with the wind. Otherwise, partly cloudy, 61 by 3 o'clock. We are heading today for a high of 62. We'll be cloudy through the first half of the day and start to see some partly cloudy skies by this afternoon and this evening. And we'll look at partly cloudy skies rather tonight, dropping back down to 43. And a reminder, that's about what our average high is this time of year, so well above normal. We'll stay that way heading into tomorrow, up to 60, mostly cloudy. 53 Wednesday, maybe some thunderstorms. 43 Thursday, so it's going to feel a lot colder, but a lot more normal for us. Maybe even a wintry mix in the morning on Thursday. We're clearing out Friday, Saturday, still cool in the 40s, and then down to 39 by this coming Sunday, and maybe even some morning snow chances out there. So it's going to be winter again before too much longer, and it's going to feel a lot colder. So enjoy the next couple of days while you can, because winter and January are coming back.
All right, well, get ready for some changes again.
Absolutely.
I think we're used to that at this point.
It's going to get pretty chilly, but like I said, though, those temperatures are actually a lot more normal for us. They're just going to feel really cold compared to what we've seen the last several days.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, the Missouri Department of Conservation is making a few regulation changes for the 2022-23 deer season. MDC says Missouri's surveillance and management plan was revised in 2022 to adapt to the changing status of chronic wasting disease observed. Regulation changes for the 23-24 deer season include a new firearms early antlerless portion, a new firearms CWD portion, and changes to firearms antlerless permit numbers in most counties. For a full breakdown of the regulation changes in counties affected, you can find it online at KOAMnewsnow.com. Earlier this week, lawmakers in Missouri voted in a stricter dress code, at least for women. The State House approved a new rule that requires women to cover their shoulders. They can do so with a jacket, knit blazer, or cardigan. The cardigan option was only added after one opponent pointed out blazers can be difficult for pregnant women to wear.
On day one in our legislature, they're doubling down on controlling women. It's wild to me, and I think it's sending a message to Missourians that the Republican Party, the Missouri GOP, doesn't have their best interests in mind and is certainly not focused on the issues important to our constituents.
The rule was actually proposed by a woman, Republican Ann Kelly. She says it makes things more equal since men are required to cover their shoulders with a shirt and jacket. Now, lawmakers and reporters in the U.S. House were required to cover their arms with sleeves until 2017. Our Veterans First met at the Joplin Empire Market over the weekend for their first planning meeting of the year. The group is working with the community to create transitional housing for vets by building a veterans tiny village in Joplin.
Everyone that's on our board and all of our members have a heart for veterans, and we realize what they've done for us, the sacrifices that they've made, and we feel like it's our turn to give back to them, to give them something, to show them that we appreciate what they've done and that we see them and we haven't forgotten about them.
Our Veterans First is a nonprofit organization. Membership is open to everyone. Well, January is National Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. KOAM's Shagun Bombadali spoke with firefighters from Joplin and Webb City to learn about the cancer risk associated with the job.
As firefighters put their lives on the line while helping their community, they also put themselves in harm's way of a terminal disease, cancer.
I'd say that firefighters are at a higher risk than the average person for cancer. A lot of things in houses nowadays they burn a lot quicker and a lot dirtier, and so the things inside of house fires and stuff like that will put off those carcinogens and they cause the cancer.
Guerrera says firefighters make sure they stay clean and sanitized after putting out a fire.
When we get back to the station, we have a special gear extractor that is specifically made for getting those carcinogens off of our gear, and then taking showers as soon as we get back and trying to get all that stuff off of our bodies as soon as we can.
I had the opportunity of speaking to a firefighter who himself battled cancer over the years, and he tells me why days like this are important to him and the fire department.
For me, it's a bit of a personal topic because I was diagnosed with cancer about 6 years ago. I was fortunate, it was removed. I didn't have to go through a lot of radiation or chemotherapy or anything like that, but it's still, reality hits when that doctor looks at you and says, hey, this lump that we removed was cancerous.
Rachel assures that each fire department is doing its best to educate firefighters about the dangers of deadly toxins. Reporting out to Joplin City Fire Department, Shagun Bombadali, KOAM News.
According to the International Association of Firefighters, nearly 75% of those honored at the IAFF Fallen Firefighter Memorial last year died of occupational cancer. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, White House attorneys confirm additional documents marked classified have been turned over to the Justice Department. We'll have the latest on the Justice Department's review. Plus January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. We'll hear from one survivor of cervical cancer and her advice for women. And Chris blows back into the Skywatch Weather Center to give us another look at your windy Monday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning. Today, President Biden will give public remarks at an event celebrating the Martin Luther King holiday. But it comes as questions continue to mount after more documents marked classified from his time as vice president were found at his Delaware home. A week ago, CBS News reported classified documents were first discovered at the D.C. offices of Biden's former think tank back in November. Jared Hill has more.
President Biden ignored questions yesterday on the discovery of more documents marked classified at his residence in Wilmington, Delaware. White House Attorney Richard Saubers said the additional pages were found on Thursday and given to the Justice Department. That makes roughly 20 classified records that have been uncovered in 2 locations.
We're very concerned about a lack of transparency.
GOP House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer sent a letter to the White House asking for the visitor log to the Biden's Wilmington home, citing national security concerns. In addition to their own investigations, House Republicans have asked the Director of National Intelligence to review the materials.
We have requested an analysis of these documents, the potential harm that they may have caused, and I expect that we'll receive that within the next few weeks.
New York Congressman Daniel Goldman defended the president and the White House's handling of the discoveries on CBS News Sunday, calling it by the book.
We don't have any indication that President Biden knew about them. He certainly has demonstrated no intent to deceive or obstruct the government by keeping them.
Last week, Attorney General Merrick Garland named Special Counsel Robert Hur, a Trump appointee, to oversee the investigation into the Biden documents. Jared Hill, CBS News.
The Attorney General appointed another special counsel, Jack Smith, last year to head investigations into former President Trump, including his refusal to voluntarily hand over classified documents that were seized from his Mar-a-Lago home last summer. The Director of National Intelligence is also analyzing the Trump documents. That's a look at one of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we're still talking about wind advisories for today. They run until noon for some of us, and that's going to be for wind gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour. And just because you're not under a wind advisory today does not mean it may not still be windy. MoDOT camera at I-44 and Rangeline is looking good. What you can't see on it is how strong the winds are blowing. And on occasion, on our tower cam at 7th and Rangeline, you can see it shake in the breeze from time to time. We'll get to that in a second. We've had some showers, but as you can see, really nothing on the Skywatch storm tracker, and a lot of the rain that showed up didn't actually make it to the ground. And you can see we've still got cloud cover out there to contend with. Keeps trying to reform, but we will eventually get to some partly cloudy skies. And here's a look at those wind advisories through noon today for all the counties highlighted in brown. But again, for our friends in southeast Kansas, even if you're not necessarily under a wind advisory, it could still be pretty gusty today. We're going to talk about your full forecast and have that weather trivia for you when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:16 on this Monday morning. Time for some weather trivia. So you may have heard the phrase that flowers smell best just before the rain. But why is this true? Well, is it not true whatsoever? Flowers know when it's going to rain, so they decide to smell better. Humid environments enhance your sense of smell, or is it because flowers release hormones on rainy days? We'll take a look at the answer in a moment, but first, Skywatch Storm Tracker clear. Again, a lot of the shower activity is showing up. Most of it never really reached the ground, and we're just dealing with that cloud cover that's hanging on to the area right now. We're also still dealing with gusty winds, which is why until noon today in the Brown counties, we have this wind advisory for wind gusts pushing 40, 45 miles an hour. We're up to 60 in Joplin right now, south-southwest breeze at 20, gusting to 29 as we start the day, but that strong southerly wind bringing in a lot of very mild temperatures. We got 50, 78 Center, Iola, a bunch of 60s on the board. Fort Scott, Nevada, Lamar, Carthage, Chanute, Neodesha, 62 Chetopa, 63 in Miami, and up to 61 in Neosho as we start the day. MoDOT camera, I-44 and Rangeline. Looks pretty good so far, and we do have a yellow light for your morning drive because we just want to advise you of those wind gusts today, so do be cautious, especially if you're driving a high-profile vehicle out there. Otherwise, we're cloudy and mild. We're switching to a green light for the drive home because those winds will eventually start to calm down a bit as we head into the afternoon, evening hours, and especially overnight. We're otherwise partly cloudy, still mild. Some kids, as I've learned, still have school today. So for those getting on the bus, we're looking at 57 at 7 a.m., mostly cloudy skies, still very breezy out there. And by the time they get home, we're looking at 61 by 3 o'clock, partly cloudy, still dealing with some of those gusty winds out there. Heading for a high of 62. We're cloudy for the first half of the day, then we'll switch to some partly cloudy skies as we head into the afternoon and evening hours, down to 49 by 8. And as we go into the overnight hours, we're going to drop back down to 43 for our low and hold on to those partly cloudy skies. Now, we do have some changes on the horizon. as we're going to start to return to normal for our temperatures, which is going to make it feel a lot colder again. So here we go through today. We're going to look all right. We'll get those partly cloudy skies. As we go into tomorrow, another mild day, but you see a lot more cloud cover building in, and that is because we're watching rain chances that are going to start to build in by Wednesday morning, maybe even a rumble of thunder or two, and that's going to keep temperatures hovering at a pretty low level. And then after that, we are going to get a wee bit on the chilly side, and you saw a little white stuff up there. Yeah, we're talking the possibility even of a wintry mix by Thursday morning. Now to the answer for our question about the phrase flowers smell best just before the rain. Why is this true? Well, if you picked C, you'd be right. Humid environments enhance your sense of smell. In fact, scents are stronger in moist, humid air like the air that occurs before a rain. So that's actually a relatively true phrase. We're up to 60 tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Scattered thunderstorms possible on Wednesday, 53. That morning mix possible Thursday. It's a low chance, but it is there. We're in the 40s Friday, Saturday, and then down to 39 by Sunday, and maybe even some morning snow. And we go beyond that and take a look. We don't do a lot of warming. We stay normal. Overnight lows dropping back into the mid to upper 20s, which again, that's right about on par for this time of year. Afternoon highs in the 40s, about on par for this time of year. But with these fluctuations and with some systems coming in next week, we've got a little bit more wintry precipitation possible as we head into the start and through the middle of next week. We got a lot more of the KOAM morning news right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a highly transmittable Omicron subvariant now accounts for 43% of COVID cases in the U.S. Centers for Disease Control says the rise of the XBB.1.5 strain is connected to the uptick in cases over the last 6 weeks. Experts say the current booster shots continue to protect against severe infection. Researchers are warning young women about taking contraceptive advice from social media influencers. Experts at the University of Delaware analyzed dozens of posts from influencers with as many as 2 million followers. They found inaccurate birth control advice could be putting young people at risk for unplanned pregnancies. And spending time with family may improve your health. A new global study analyzed the health behaviors of 13,000 people around the world. It found those with strong family bonds were more likely to adopt habits like hand washing, social distancing, and wearing a mask. The study also found strong social bonds are linked to better mental health and well-being. Well, January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. It's a disease that's treatable if picked early with screening and preventable with the HPV vaccine. Michael George spoke with a cancer survivor about her advice for women.
When Nora Lindo Salmon started feeling intense abdomen pain last year, she went to the doctor. The mother and grandmother learned she had advanced cervical cancer.
They said, I have cancer. And I said, I don't believe it's still cancer.
The Jamaica native had not been getting regular gynecological exams.
Unfortunately, though, many women, especially underserved women, have not seen physicians and they don't get regular screening.
Dr. Stella Limberis is a radiation oncologist at NYU Langone Perlmutter Cancer Center. She says cervical cancer is treatable if detected early. In Nora's case, she had 5 weeks of chemotherapy and internal radiation treatment called brachytherapy.
It's the safest way to deliver radiation so that we can reduce side effects.
A new American Cancer Society report estimates about 14,000 cases of invasive cervical cancer will be diagnosed this year, and more than 4,000 women will die from the disease. Death rates have dropped significantly with increased use of the Pap test, and the report shows a 65% reduction in cervical cancer rates in women in their early 20s. That's after the introduction of the HPV vaccine, which protects against the human papillomavirus, which causes cervical cancer.
Today, I am wonderful. I'm feeling wonderful.
Nora finished her treatment in June and is currently disease-free. She's now encouraging women to get their annual exams and screening.
I would tell them not to be afraid. Not to be afraid. Be strong. Make the first step.
A step that could be life-saving. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The American Cancer Society says higher HPV vaccination rates have the potential to virtually eliminate cervical cancer. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we're still watching wind advisories for the counties in brown, but all of us could get in on some gusty winds today, again pushing 40 to 45 miles an hour. These advisories run through noon today. Right now in Joplin, we're not doing too bad other than that wind. We're at 60 at this time of day, which is kind of crazy in January. South-southwest breeze at 20, gusting to 29. Across the region, that southerly breeze bringing in very warm temperatures. We're at 60 Pittsburgh, Lamar, Parsons, 62 Chetopa, 63 Miami, and 60 in Neosho. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line looking good. Got a yellow light for that morning drive as we are cloudy and mild and breezy. And a green light for the drive home as winds should start to calm down. Will be partly cloudy and still mild. Kids getting on the bus this morning for those that have school, 57 at 7 a.m. and we're looking to be 61, partly cloudy by 3. We are heading for a high today of 62. Cloudy the first half of the day, partly cloudy skies later this afternoon and into this evening. And as we go into the overnight, we're still above normal, 43 for our low, and we'll see partly cloudy skies and much calmer winds. We got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6:30, firefighters face danger every time they go out on a call, but KOAM Shagun Bombadale learns of another danger to firefighters, a risk for job-related cancer.
We've got wind advisories for the counties in brown until noon today. We're talking gusty winds, we're talking mild temperatures, and a big change in the forecast. All of that coming up.
And a veterans group teams up with the Joplin community to provide transitional housing with a tiny village.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it is very mild out there. Keep in mind our normal high is in the 40s. And it means our normal low is usually in the 20s, and we are sitting at 60 degrees in Joplin right now with a south-southwest breeze at 20, gusting to 29, hence the wind advisories. We're still going to see gusty winds through today, but those gusty winds continuing to usher in well above average temperatures. A lot of 60s on the board. Neodesha, Chanute, Parsons, Pittsburgh, Independence, Lamar, Carthage, Neosho. You got 62 Chetopa, 63 Miami, and 62 in Anderson this morning. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line looking good so far. We got a yellow light for your morning drive just because we're continuing to see those gusty southerly winds out there. Otherwise, we're cloudy and mild. We are switching to a green light for the drive home as winds should start to calm down a bit. They could still be a bit gusty out there this evening, but they're going to start to die down a bit. Otherwise, partly cloudy and mild. I do know, again, thanks to Tanya, that there are some kids in school today, and if they are getting on the bus, we're looking at 57 at 7 a.m., mostly cloudy, very windy when they get home still, 61 and partly cloudy skies by 3 o'clock. Heading for a high of 62 today. We'll be mostly cloudy to just plain old cloudy through the first half of the day and start to switch to some partly cloudy skies this afternoon, down to 49 by 8. Heading for a low of 43, so that's where our normal high comes in. We're down to 43 tonight under partly cloudy skies across the area. And then there's some changes on the way as we look at the 7-day. We're up to 60 tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Then some scattered thunderstorms possible Wednesday and 53. Only 43 Thursday, maybe a wintry mix in the morning if it gets cold enough. Down to 25 Thursday night, 49 Friday, 44 Saturday, and only 39 by Sunday. Maybe some morning snow. And we hold on to normal temperatures as we head into the start of next week. But as you can see, we got some wintry mix possibilities, maybe even some light snow with some of the with some of the systems that are going to be coming in next week. So it's going to be, as you see, a little too mild during the day for that stuff, but when we get into the overnight hours, that's when we could see a little wintry weather. So still several days out, and you know how wintry weather is. It can change like that, so we'll keep an eye on it for you. But some big changes coming to those temperatures for sure over the next several days.
Yeah, that's for sure.
A little bit cooler, a little bit colder.
Well, we're ready for it, I guess.
It's a little bit more
really
winter,
wants
I suppose.
It, but yeah. All right, thanks, Chris. One Joplin community organization comes together to begin work on projects for our local veterans. Our veterans first met at the Joplin Empire Market for their first planning meeting of the year. The group is working to create transitional housing for vets by building a veterans tiny village in Joplin.
We do. It's very fulfilling and it means something, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. I mean, we all have jobs and lives, and so it is somewhat of a sacrifice, but nothing compared to the people that we're serving.
Our Veterans First is a nonprofit organization. Membership is open to everyone. Well, this month is National Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month, and as firefighters put their lives on the line while helping their community, they also put themselves in harm's way of a terminal disease, cancer.
For me, it's a bit of a personal topic because I was diagnosed with cancer about 6 years ago. I was fortunate, it was removed. I didn't have to go through a lot of radiation or chemotherapy or anything like that, but it's still, reality hits when that doctor looks at you and says, hey, this lump that we removed was cancerous.
According to the International Association of Firefighters, nearly 75% of those honored at the IAFF Fallen Firefighter Memorial last year died of occupational cancer. Horse owners gathered together over the weekend in Carthage for Racing for Cash barrel race competition. KOAM's Yana Dula visited the event and talked with officials and participants.
Residents from the 4 states and even further gathered to compete in monthly barrel racing at the Lucky J Arena in Carthage.
Contestants that came from several different states, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, one girl from Wisconsin, Colorado. We had some that traveled here from Colorado yesterday.
This weekend is special as the competition includes Junior Hui Patriot Qualifier for a larger competition that will be held in a couple of months in Texas. 10 of 45 young contestants qualified.
The Junior Hui has $1.5 million payout to those rodeo contestants, and there'll be over 6,000 contestants that qualify and go to that rodeo down there. So we were really blessed and honored to be able to have that local qualifier here for those young contestants to be able to go to Texas.
Avery Carter traveled from Arkansas and placed second in the Hui Junior race with a time of 15.060.
It's very hard for the perfect race because like you have your ups and downs, you have your good times and your bad times, but to me it's just I get frustrated when something just doesn't go my way, and I need to work on that because like my horse just does so well for me, and I'm just so blessed to have her.
She says it's going to be a good time competing with friends.
I'm just excited currently. I bet when I get down there I'm going to be super nervous because you're running basically against half the country and it's going to be big.
Gandhi says working with horses teaches a lot of self-discipline and competition.
There's kids that get full rides to colleges with, rodeo events and everything. And so, that can help with their education. And then, there's national level competitions that can take them on to do different things throughout their life and their careers.
In Carthage, Yana Haudala, KOAM News.
Prizes for competitors are given out in cash for 10 places in each division. Well, this morning we're discussing social media and misinformation.
Police and prosecutors are required to stay quiet outside the courtroom about the University of Idaho murder case, but on the internet, there is no such prohibition, and most of the information is being found on TikTok, Facebook, and other places, and that information is purely speculation and hypothesizing.
How prevalent is internet sleuthing? We'll consider this. This Facebook group called University of Idaho Murders Case Discussion has more than 250,000 followers, and this is just one of many groups discussing and hypothesizing about the case online. I think there was one called Stacy Solves Crimes or something like that.
Lots of different folks out there with their different theories. That brings us to our question for you this morning. Does social media help fuel misinformation? So far, 93% of you say that it does, and 7% of you say it does not. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, all it takes is one person taking what they think, posting it, their friends share it, that gets shared, and the next thing you know, it's all over the place, this misinformation or something that's not 100% accurate.
I'm glad to see that there's so many people that believe this, because hopefully they're looking at the internet and weighing things with a grain of salt,
checking the sources, seeing where it's coming from, and doing their own research to make sure it's been fact-checked, what's being shared. When Joplin suspended the Sunshine Lamp trolley service, there were some posts that started circulating about the fact that that people were basically accusing the city of not spending the city's money right. And what it was they didn't have enough drivers. But then this went wild on social media that it was because they didn't have the money for the service, when in reality they didn't have enough drivers. So that's all it takes is one or two posts, and all of a sudden it's a totally different story being shared.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, a new AI called ChatGPT has taken the tech world by storm, but educators have already began banning the program from schools. We got those details in Consumer Watch.
And we're going to take another look at our forecast and some changes that are on the way when the KOAM Morning News returns.
In Consumer Watch this morning, Prince Harry is playing second fiddle to no one when it comes to book sales. His explosive memoir, Spare, is the fastest selling nonfiction book of all time. That's according to the Guinness Book of World Records. On its release day, it sold more than 1.4 million copies in Britain, the U.S., and Canada. Well, a new artificial intelligence tool is taking the tech world by storm, but its remarkable ability to create comes with real challenges. Bradley Blackburn reports.
The new AI tool called ChatGPT can be used to answer a question.
The circumference of the Earth is approximately 24,901 miles.
But it can do so much more.
Write a news story about ChatGPT.
Almost instantly, the program writes a document that looks very much like a human wrote it.
I've always been curious about playing with new technology.
Amar Reshi used ChatGPT to create a children's book about a little girl and an intelligent robot. He gave ChatGPT the idea, and the AI delivered the story.
I essentially had a ghostwriter who I was directing and kind of providing some guidance to, and it was crafting the story with me.
The book has angered some human authors, but Reshi says he wanted to show what's now possible.
In my opinion, this is just the beginning of this technology.
ChatGPT can tackle complex questions too, like topics that might be assigned for a high school essay. And that has many educators worried. New York City schools have already banned access to the technology on school networks and devices.
I absolutely think humans deserve to know the truth.
Princeton undergrad Edward Tian believes he has a solution. He created GPT-0. Teachers can use it to determine if something was written by a human or AI.
Have you heard from any students out there that are a little frustrated with you?
Yeah, so the reaction has been pretty astonishing. I've been hearing from teachers all over the world that have reached out. A lot of them have been trying out GPT-0 and saying it actually confirmed some suspicions.
Edward is looking to improve his technology, and so is the company behind ChatGPT. Developers there are reportedly ready to release a more powerful AI in the coming months. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
CBS reached out to ChatGPT, but they declined their request for an interview. That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good out there. Aside from the gusty winds, we still have some wind advisories. We're still looking at wind gusts pushing 40 to 50 miles an hour across the region. You can't see the wind, though, but we are quite mild, too. We are well above average. And on occasion, you can see the wind shake our camera at 7th and range line. We're going to take a look at how windy it's going to be, how long it's going to be, how mild it's going to get, and about some big changes in the forecast here in just a few minutes. But first, we've got the perfect cure for a case of the Mondays. It's birthdays and anniversaries. They're coming up just after this break, but why don't we first take a look at what's coming up on CBS Mornings?
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, comedian and former Saturday Night Live cast member Leslie Jones will join us to talk about guest hosting The Daily Show. She is always a good time and hilarious. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, technician 5th grade Richard McWhirter. The native of Nevada, Missouri, served from 1944 to 1945 in Normandy, northern France, the Ardennes, Rhineland, and Central Europe as part of the 273rd Field Artillery Battalion, Battery A. To technician 5th grade Richard McWhirter, we thank you, today's four-state hero.
All right, time for some Monday birthdays here in the four states. We're going to start in Carl Junction with Logan Maloney celebrating the big number 2 today. Happy birthday, Logan.
All right, Isaiah Steele celebrating birthday number 9 in Iola, Kansas. Look at that catch there. Isaiah's birthday wishes come from Dad, Mom, Sarah, Jaleesa, Thaddeus, and Daniel.
And we've got Athena Yancey celebrating number 14 in Carthage with love from Dad, Grandma Joni, and Grandpa Sam. Happy birthday, Athena.
All right, Chad O'Banion turning 23 years old this year. Looks like he's got his hands full in Arma, Kansas. Happy birthday to my first grandchild. Love your mama.
All right, we've got Jessica Forrester in Fort Scott celebrating a birthday. Jessica works at the Bryant Student Health Center at PSU. Happy birthday.
All right, belated birthday wishes going out to Craig Condon, who is 41 years old this year in Pittsburgh.
And we've got Angie Loffmiller celebrating number 45 in Pittsburgh. And Angie is a third grade teacher at Lakeside Elementary. Happy birthday, Angie.
All right, enjoying her day off for a holiday. All right, Heather Buchanan celebrating birthday number 45 this year in Jasper, Missouri.
And we've got Rain Crandall in Joplin celebrating number 46. This comes with love from Kaylin, Ava, Jaylee, and Axton. Happy birthday, Wayne.
All right, up in Fort Scott, Jason Marbury celebrating the big 5-0 this year. Happy birthday to Jason from wife Susan and sons Weston, Ty, and Jace.
And we've got Sam Cannon over in Columbus celebrating with the catch of the day. Happy birthday, Sam.
All right, Shirley Crowder celebrating 78 this year. Happy birthday from your daughter, Cindy.
And we've got Helen and Ellen Jackson. Helen is in Fredonia. Ellen is in Yates Center. They are twins, both celebrating number 82 today. Happy birthday to Helen and Ellen.
All right. And our birthday list goes on. We've got an anniversary too. Rick and Lisa Hartsfield celebrating 41 years together. They're our neighbors in Crestline.
We've got Johnny Zwalen celebrating in Chatopa. Happy birthday. And Ashley Lopp celebrating number 19 in Columbus. Happy birthday and anniversary to all of you. And of course, if you'd like to celebrate with us, Tanya knows how you can do that.
You can send them to either of our birthday emails. First one is pretty simple. It's birthdays with an S at KOAMTV.com, or you can send it to birthdays with an S, don't forget that S, at KOAMNewsNow.com. Remember, when you do send in your birthdays, make sure you send them in plenty early so we have time to get them ready. At least, I think, let's just shoot for 48 hours in advance. Let's not procrastinate. Let's do that.
No, let's not procrastinate at all. And of course, don't forget to head over to our website and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get some great deals from local businesses and a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. Just head over to KOAMNewsNow.com. Sign up for that birthday club today. Well, some people will try anything to pass a sobriety test. Coming up when the KOAM Morning News makes the move over to Fox 14, we'll take a look at one man's efforts that will turn you upside down, or at least turn him upside down. That's coming up on Fox 14 starting at 7 a.m. All right, so we have wind advisories for the counties in Brown until noon today. That's for those gusts still pushing 40, 45 miles an hour. And even if you're not under a wind advisory, still going to be gusty as we head through today. In Joplin right now, we're sitting at 60, south-southwest breeze at 20, gusting to 29. It's almost like a April or May day out there right now with these temperatures. They don't warm up a ton from here, though. So we're at 56 Yates Center, Iola 60, Chinook, Parsons, Pittsburgh, Neodesha 61, Miami 60, Neosho, Carthage, Lamar at 59 in Nevada. MoDOT camera at I-44 and Range Line looking good so far. And we have a yellow light for your morning drive with those gusty winds. You just want to watch out for that. Otherwise, we're cloudy and mild. We're switching to a green light, though, for the drive home as the wind should start to calm down. Could still be a bit gusty, but should be a bit calmer this evening. Will be partly cloudy and staying mild. For those of you that do have school today, we're looking at 57 at 7 a.m. Still dealing with some gusty winds out there, mostly cloudy, and then partly cloudy by 3 o'clock, 61, and still a bit on the breezy side. Heading for a high of 62, so that's what I'm saying. We don't do a ton of warming today, but we will still be well above average. Cloudy for the first half of the day, and then we start to see some partly cloudy skies later this afternoon and this evening. We'll remain partly cloudy going into the overnight, down to 43 for our overnight low. And as we look at the week ahead, got some changes on the way. So tomorrow we're still mild, 60 and mostly cloudy. 53 Wednesday, maybe some scattered showers and thunderstorms out there, maybe even leading to a wintry early mix on Thursday. It's a low chance, but it is a chance. Down to 43, 49 Friday, 44 Saturday, so back to normal for our temperatures. And then pretty darn cold, 39 next Sunday. We're even watching the possibility of some snow chances. And we go beyond that. Our average high temperatures return, so we get back to normal for highs. We're in the 40s in the first part of next week, but the overnight lows are going to be enough that with the system coming in by the first part of next week, we could see a wintry mix late Tuesday, transition over even into some light snow as we head into early on Wednesday. Still several days out from that, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. But otherwise, winter returning, temperatures get back to normal, which means overnight lows also get back to normal, back into the 20s. We're back with more right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation says Ivan Adams, who was arrested in Arizona, is awaiting extradition to Oklahoma, where he faces a murder count of a 4-year-old Oklahoma girl. Alyssa Adams was also arrested on Thursday and is charged with child neglect. Both were caretakers for the child. The missing child is 4-year-old Athena Brownfield. Athena's 5-year-old sister had also been in the care of Adams. She is now in protective custody. Lawmakers in Missouri voted on a stricter dress code, at least for women. The State House approved a new rule that requires women to cover their shoulders. They can do so with a jacket, knit blazer, or cardigan. The rule was actually proposed by Representative Ann Kelly, a Republican and a woman. She says it makes things more equal since men have long been required to cover their shoulders with a shirt and jacket. And a big announcement at Missouri Southern on Friday, a donation of a whole lot of zeros. Bill and Tracy Gibson are giving $1 million for the school's Lions Forward campaign. Lions Forward is a capital fundraising campaign aimed at improving the university experience through things like student scholarships, campus renovations, and new equipment. And a Pittsburgh High School senior accomplished a big feat. Mackenzie Rowe is the first ever from the high school to get into the School of Art Institute of Chicago. And now Mackenzie is on her way to fulfilling a dream, and she shares some of her inspiration from her artwork. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Yeah, we're heading for a high of 62 today. Hello, Tanya. It's going to be a nice day. Hey. Tanya is about as 62 as it gets today. We still have some wind advisories out there as well until about noon. We could see those gusts upwards of 40 to 45 miles an hour. As we head into this evening, we drop back down to a low of 43 degrees tonight, so not too shabby. And as we head into the week ahead, we do have some changes on the way. So we're still mild tomorrow, scattered thunderstorms on Wednesday, and then we're looking at cold but normal temperatures after that, maybe even some wintry precipitation as we head into Thursday morning, and then by Sunday as well, down to 39 on Sunday, so a lot colder. You know, you have the perfect blue sky outfit on, and I think that's what it is.
But I am not 62.
No, I'm talking you put off the temperature and glow of 62 degrees. It always feels warmer in here when you're in the studio.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making sweet potato casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Oh, the wife will love that one. And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Country rock artist Margot Price's new album, Strays, is her first project since getting sober 2 years ago. Next on CBS Mornings, the singer sits down with Anthony Mason for a rock conversation about facing her demons and gaining confidence to reinvent herself.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, it's time to roll up your sleeves once again for the Boots and Badges Blood Drive. Paul Lyle heads into the studio to tell us about how you can help, and we hear there's going to be chili.
Ooh, you can't go wrong with chili, especially with chilly temperatures on the way. Well, that's plus we take you to a home that recently adopted a celebrity. They didn't even know it. We'll have those stories coming up, but that's going to wrap it up for us for here. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.